hat, hurry, hat, hurry, hat, hurry, hat, hurry, hat, hurry, hat, hurry.
Oh, geez, she doesn't know what the hell to make of me. Have you seen what I've got in my hand?
Coffee.
Yeah.
What would Rachel say about that?
If we could see cyber threats in
Do you know you're not supposed to have coffee before yoga?
it would be
Oh, shit. That's a big
And
mistake.
so basically, guys, you might have wondered where we've been. We've been on a yoga retreat, and we vlogged it. So there'll be really good vlogs to come. I'm putting up a reels later
Full of highs,
tonight.
full of lows, full of emotion.
Yeah, really, we had the most incredible week.
You were like a rabbit, weren't you? All
Mark,
week was
shut
weird.
up!
You were weird.
You do realise we're live?
Oh, sorry, I completely forgot.
Don't listen to him, he's just a fucking idiot. Yeah, no, we had an amazing time. Oh, show that again. Mike,
Mike,
you're watching,
the White Island Orchestra.
who we're going to be seeing
We're going to be
in
seeing.
the UK, not too
Yeah.
far away.
Stunning
From now.
bloke.
We had an incredible, life-changing week. You know how much I love at Rachel Spain Yoga, Instagram, my yoga teacher. But everything has been through Zoom, which is fantastic. In fact, wait for this. Mark and I are doing yoga at 9:30 on Zoom.
Isn't that amazing?
We've
Morning,
brought him over
Christos.
to the other side. Anyway, so
Happy birthday, David Shields.
Ella, so it's really, it was really lovely to actually be in a class with her. We were lucky in that we had the most amazing group of other people.
Oh my
The
God.
sun shone. I swam in the sea. I've got my lines like I always do, my necklace lines for
Yeah.
reading. Like that. Did you get necklace line? Oh yeah, look,
Oh,
you
yeah.
must have gone round that way.
Oh,
Your book must have been that way. And look, you put your head down. Why does that not happen when you're a young person?
What? Because we've got wrinkles, babe. We're wrinkly. We're wrinkly. We're wrinkly.
Look, Sarah Fox says, looks like that was news to Mark that he's doing yoga at home.
It wasn't.
No, he
Yeah, no, it
agreed.
wasn't. No, I have to say, a more staggeringly brilliant and beautiful bunch of people I haven't come across before.
They were
Seriously,
really
every
special.
single one of the wonderful people who well, we don't really film too much because of course we respected the sanctity of the retreat for other people, but we filmed a lot of ourselves and we filmed a little bit with everyone towards the end, so you will get a sense of who's who. But really quite a huge surprise. I'm not going to tell you whether I liked it or not. I'd be giving the game away, wouldn't it? What do you think, Rachel? Someone there, Pink Lady, can I have a happy 70th birthday for my dad, Tommy?
Happy birthday to you, Tommy. Happy birthday to you, Tommy. Happy birthday, dear Tommy. Happy birthday to you. Zoe says, love that Mark is now a yogi. Well, you have to watch the vlogs to see which way it all turns out.
Yeah, I really want a loincloth.
Then you shall have one.
I mean, a proper loincloth.
You shall have one.
And I want to be able to learn
Very soon.
And I want to be able to learn how to wrap it on like a nappy. Sorry, I've gone off on a different
You really have gone too
different
far now.
tangent.
Just calm down.
Emma Carter, hello my darling. Faith
Hello,
Goodman,
Carter.
we've missed
Delia
you too.
Nixon, happy birthday to you, Delia. Happy birthday to you, Delia. Happy birthday, dear Delia. Happy birthday to you. Hello, Jacqueline Frost. Hello, Jackie Sheenan.
Oh, Jackie Sheehan, you're stuck in the room
room
with COVID.
COVID.
COVID is on the march, I hear. Apparently, on all film sets and in all TV studios in LA, the mandate has come back in for mask wearing on all location shoots. You're not allowed to shoot, film, or do anything without a mask unless you're an
But what
actor.
we've got to remember is that's not because it's it's any more dangerous. It's because people are just.
Yeah, people are just
You don't
wanting
want
to.
people, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
so contagious. You don't want people.
You just don't want people sneezing
in a flu
in a
situation.
flu situation. So, I mean, lots of news. We've missed you massively. We've missed you massively. I am going to do a news of the week quiz at the end, Faith and other fans of the quiz right at the end, because you've missed it for 2 weeks in a row now, haven't you? Because I ran off the Friday before and we weren't here the Friday after that, or were we? No, we weren't.
I love that. Such a good line. Nash 1963. I love to be someone who loves yoga. Can't seem to focus on anything at the moment. Start a real beginner's lesson with Rachel. That's
And
what
it hits you in deep places when you hand yourself over to it. I mean, I am a fan of this idea of what I call sort of microwave recovery. You know, like, I mean, I have the utmost respect for people who kind of get sober by going into AA meetings or just stopping and not going into rehab. because that's hard. That's really, really tough. But this idea of, for some people, I think if you can have a sort of concentrated little kind of burst, gets you going, and then you're off.
Lady, love yoga. It's really helped my mental health. Well, that came up a lot on our week actually away because it helps a lot of people.
Yeah,
their
yeah.
mental health.
It's quite an emotional week.
But as I say, watch out for the vlog, watch out for the reel that we're going to do, and some really lovely moments.
So lots and lots of news. Weirdly, as we left, the Roe v. Wade story landed. Obviously.
Can you imagine how difficult that was for us, that we weren't doing Coffee Moaning and Rebecca versus Wade?
Rebecca versus
No,
Rebecca Wade.
Sorry, Rebecca.
Is Rebecca Wade someone? I think is it
Roe
Rebecca...
versus Wade.
Yeah, Roe versus Wade. Which, of course, this is the
Rebecca Wade was the editor of the News of the World.
That's right. Yeah. So Roe v. Wade, for anyone who doesn't know, is obviously the law in America that allowed states, didn't mean all states would do it, but allowed states to be able to allow for abortions in certain circumstances. They've rolled back on that, which means lots of states, it's now absolutely illegal, and in other states, there's something called there's a trigger law that will happen. Which basically means roughly, I think half the states in America are more than likely for it to be illegal. That doesn't, abortion is illegal, and so lots of news kind of came out of that. I posted something on the Popcorn Junkies around companies, certainly Hollywood companies, studios were going to have offered, and lots of other companies outside the entertainment industry are offering to pay for employees to travel across state lines or state boundaries to seek abortions if they need to. But it's a hot potato. I mean, what does that make you feel like, knowing that that's happened as a woman? I mean, given your own experiences, you've had an abortion and...
Yeah, of course, it's a bit of a shock, didn't know you were going to say that.
Yeah, I just thought I'd go right there.
Well, do you know what? It's another layer of this growing sense of terror about the way the world is going. And that's not me being dramatic, and I am a dramatic person. But it's a really unnerving feeling. Mark found an incredible photograph of a group of women that had all dressed immaculately as the Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, it's the Handmaidens, from the Handmaid's Tale.
From the Handmaid's Tale, so they were all dressed in the costumes, kneeling.
Yeah.
Was that at the White House?
I think it was outside the Supreme Court.
Outside the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And though it was like, wow, what an incredible PR idea to get the message out, but it really upset me, Mark, because I thought,
no, it's fine.
Look at all the things that have happened over the last few years that we said would never happen, and the fact now that we're hearing, that in fact there's a possibility that the rules on gay marriage could be reversed, and that also contraception, they could change the laws.
Criminalising
I find this petrifying, because we didn't think a couple of years ago that abortion could be taken away. And let's not forget, the only people this is really going to hurt are poor people, are people that could very likely be unable to support that child if it was born, because of course wealthy women will be able to fly all over the world or to other states to get it done. So again, it's yet again another thing that people that have the most to endure and the most struggles are hit the hardest.
It just seems so odd.
But also it gives me the fucking creeps.
The EBGBs.
The creeps.
Yeah, the creeps.
That these old fucking men are sitting up there.
And a lot of women.
And women.
A lot of women.
And that dreadful last judge that he put in. That Trump put in, what was her name?
I can't remember. I can never remember her name. But
From that Christian cult.
Well, as you say, the cult she's from, theoretically, is the one that The Handmaid's Tale is based on.
It was based on.
Which gives a certain sort of potency to that
Yes.
image in front of the Supreme Court. It is frightening. I think it's petrifying, and I just think it seems so strange that the people professing to be so kind of attached to
Saving
life, and,
whatever the
have a lot of them have no issue with gun ownership or the shooting of or the death of
I would also
children
not want
through
to support
poverty and everything like
children
that.
that are born into poverty.
It seems so strange. It seems such a backward way to kind of do it. Now, obviously, there's the religious contingent. I think you made a really important point. We were discussing it with the girls yesterday. That you have to respect. If someone, I respect someone to have the religious or spiritual belief that it's not right to do so. But what I don't then believe from that is that you have the right to extend your personal spiritual belief onto the actual lives, activities and physicality or body of someone else. That strikes me as, that's
But
far
it's
too,
but
that's
it's
an
a
overreach of spiritual belief, isn't it?
But there is a balance, isn't there? This is what we were. This was the conversation we were having with our girls yesterday. They're obviously very moved by this ruling, and very angry, and therefore a bit grouping all
Enjoy the zoo,
pro-lifers
actually.
together. The pro-lifers. It's like we have to be really careful
Pro-choice.
that we are mindful of people that are very hurt by this, because some people believe that the very moment that there is conception, that is a life. So if you really take how that must feel for a person that really believes that, and therefore really believes that this is almost like, well, murder.
Yeah.
I respect that that's difficult for you, and I understand, and I don't judge you for that. Therefore, also don't judge.
Yeah, because you know what's really difficult for me, and it's difficult for you to understand how gun ownership is a good thing. But we are not sitting here saying don't, although we think it should be reduced. We're not saying don't own guns. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's quite extraordinary that children can go to school, that people have to send their children to school terrified that they could get shot. But, you know, that's the way of America, and, you know, we can't affect any change that. We can say that it upsets us and that it hurts us, but
Maddie posted something really, I thought quite strongly. There's quite a strong sort of sentiment behind it. I can't remember the exact words, but she posted something online somewhere, which was something along the lines of, if these people profess to really care about life, here are 50 other ways you could actually help save lives or improve lives or prevent life loss. And they're all tangible. They're all involving people who are alive and in the world. And it just seems this. See, for me, this is where I know for a fact that it's about more than the sanctity or the spiritual belief of the life in the womb.
Yeah.
It has to be. Because if it's just about that, you would be deeply traumatised and saddened and upset and feel it's wrong. But you would not then go on to try and encroach upon everyone else's rights. I just don't see how that's the case.
Maddie was saying, or Kiki, one of them was saying that there was somebody on social media the other day, a young girl who has recently been raped and is now traumatised, of course, by that, but now has the added terror that if she's pregnant, she's obviously in a state risk, that she's not going to be able to have an abortion. I mean, good God Almighty. But also, Lily Allen said yesterday, you don't have to give exceptional reasons as to why you want an abortion. It doesn't have to be some extreme reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to clarify on that, I think there is a physical argument for not using abortion as a means to just, in a sense, deal with constant repetitive mistakes. I think you know, some people would argue, I mean, I think there is that will take its toll on your body. And I think, you know, sometimes that's trotted out, just playing devil's advocate a bit here, that, you know, well, is it a form of sort of almost contraception, a sort of, you know, the get pregnant, take the responsibility, get pregnant. I mean, again, have more sort of sex education, have more contraception, not less contraception.
Now they're talking about removing the right to contraception out of marriage. It's like, what? What?
Louise N says a really important point here. Or what about the women that may well kill themselves because they see no way out?
Oh, but they wouldn't care about that life.
No, that's not a valuable life.
No. Let's not get confused.
Because that's not an innocent life.
All the lives that may be lost through gun use.
But they're not innocent.
Because no, but the innocent children in those schools, nobody can deny. Even the most extreme gun crazed person could not, for a minute, argue that those children were innocent. But they could say that they are part of the necessary collateral, so that people can have the fifth.
But that is the language, isn't it? It's the innocent lives. It's the innocent, unspoken life. But listen to this. This is interesting, because some of Britain's leading abortion clinics are expressing their own concerns about this in the UK. As a young boy, my mum used to take me on pro-choice marches all the time. I was on we were on not pro-abortion. It sounds ridiculous. No one's advocating it. This is the other thing. People assume women just, you know, although I've just used the example that's the argument where they don't want to use it as a form of contraception. 98% of the time, women are making incredibly difficult decisions around abortions. I mean, would you agree? It's an intensely
There's very few
traumatic
people, though there will be some,
yeah,
that are completely irresponsible and use it as a method of contraception. There will be a few people
Yeah, exactly.
that are
That's the
like
point.
that.
Yeah.
But the majority of people, it is a hugely terrifying, life-changing experience. I know it. I've done it. It's a massive, massive deal. And mine was a very long time ago. And do you know what the story is of my abortion? I had sex, obviously, and had the dodgy Durex situation. Went to the doctor, and I'd recently moved to the area that I was. I didn't know my GP at all, and she was a lovely woman, so I completely trusted her. She asked for my dates of my period and all of this, and then she said to me, it's because I asked for the morning after pill, and she said it was highly, twice used the word, unlikely that I would be pregnant, and that the morning after pill is not good, and it can leave you feeling very ill. She told me about the side effects of it, like possible this, possible that, and I left there 100% confident that I wasn't going to be pregnant. And guess what? I was. And guess what? I had to go through all the horrors of a termination. And I realised, it wasn't until years later that I realised she was anti-abortion. And she was also anti-morning after pill.
Right.
And I was a young person trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And she sent me away. So in the end, I had an abortion. Now, somebody just made a good point there. Is the morning after pill also banned? That's the moment of conception.
That's a really important.
I don't know the answer
And
to
that's
that.
a different
It's a really
zone,
good
isn't it, to
question.
just straightforward contraception. That's sort of like
post-emptive. That's if there's
Exactly,
that like
potentially.
3 days of
Yeah,
conception.
yeah.
I bet they will, because they will see that as, because if it's the belief that those collection of cells at their earliest stage is alive, then morning after pill wouldn't be allowed either.
Your case in point, and a lot of cases in point, and I also remember being with a partner who hadn't had an abortion. I mean, invariably, a huge number of abortions obviously happen when women are in their much younger years, inexperienced, innocent, mistakes made, irresponsibilities here and there. Highly fertile, all that kind of stuff. You do wonder whether, when all these kind of conservative men and women are involved in this lawmaking, that really it is about knowing that if you allow most of these pregnancies to happen, you are also then going to subjugate great swathes of the female population from pursuing any aspect of their lives that they would like to pursue prior to parenthood. Do you know what I mean? So it is another form of indirect control.
We are.
Or direct control.
I think it's really important what Lily Allen said. We don't need exceptional circumstances.
Right.
Because like me, I'm saying I was young. I'd used
Right,
Durex.
yeah. Yeah.
It's like she walked down the street. She had a long skirt on. She didn't have her earphones. It's like we're always having to make excuses for our choices and for our safety.
Yeah.
To whom?
Yeah.
To whom? And why? This here is like a completely legal, and there's an absolute medical understanding that up to a certain point, it does no harm.
Just quickly read
I mean,
this. Sorry.
I remember years ago, a trainer that I used to have, she said, there are so many women that have these really shock pregnancies as they're going into menopause. You release lots of eggs, and women that's lives are completely moved on, and they get these shock pregnancies, and often they're with twins because
Wow.
And it's like, imagine that you're in your 50s and suddenly you've got twins and you've just got to get on with it.
Get on with it. Zoe, in Northern Ireland, it was always looked at as shame. I've had to get the morning after pill in Ireland, and you would have thought I'd murdered someone with the way I was made to feel by pharmacists, etc.
Really?
And on that point, I just wanted to say what you were saying. What did you say? There are no exceptional circumstances.
No, I don't see why we have to give exceptional circumstances.
Well, the interesting thing, obviously, abortion clinics in the UK are worried it could roll over here. This kind of, this sort of retreat towards conservative values. And interestingly, it's important to remind ourselves that the 1967 Abortion Act didn't make abortion legal. Abortion still isn't legal here. We have a law.
Oh.
We have an amendment to a law that simply makes it difficult to prosecute if you have two medical doctors saying it's okay to have the abortion. But it's actually, under the law, it's still a criminal offence to have an abortion in England. At gestation. The 1967 Abortion Act didn't repeal the legislation, but provided a legal defence against criminalisation if an abortion meets the terms of the
That's
Act.
why you always have to speak to two doctors.
Precisely. So a Labour MP, Stella Creasy, who's wanting to change it to a fundamental right, she said...
I had no idea.
No, I didn't. She
That's
said
so
most women in
interesting.
the UK do not realise abortion is not a right in the UK, but
Wow.
there is only a law that gives exemption. So it's like
From
a
you being-
voucher
from
prosecution.
prosecuted.
Yeah. What the US teaches us is that we cannot be complacent about entrenching those rights in law. So I think if Stella Creasy pushes for this, I think everyone has to really push to sort of solidify or enshrine, the right to an abortion, rather than it being you can't have an abortion unless you. Do you know what I mean? It's an amendment to a law. So I didn't realise that, which is quite something. And of course, the marches that I used to go on with my mum was all about. Do you remember there were always huge debates about the weeks of at what week could a termination actually happen, in what trimester, and all of that kind of stuff, which gets very, it does get very complicated, because you made an interesting point yesterday, didn't you? About having but once you've had kids, the thoughts of
No,
abortion.
for me, just
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
personally, when I had my abortion, it was absolutely the right choice for me.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I wasn't emotionally torn to pieces afterwards. I
Yeah.
didn't suffer in my mental health or anything. It was absolutely the right choice for me, and I was relieved when I'd done it. So that's me being flat out honest. That's how I felt. Once I'd had children, I have this confusing thing now where I wouldn't have been able to
Wow.
if I had got pregnant, and not I wouldn't have been able to actually, not I wouldn't have
No.
been able to.
But it would have become a
It
lot
would
more
have been a
difficult.
very, very different situation.
Absolutely.
And that gives me food
That's
for
interesting.
thought.
Yeah, it is food for thought, isn't it? Obviously, the other big news this week was Deborah James passing away, which is just tragically sad. And there was a documentary on which we sadly couldn't make or
We were
watch.
travelling last night.
But I mean, many of your friends and
Well, I
know
met
and
her
you've
a
met
couple
her.
of times. You can only describe her as, first of all, she's absolutely stunning. Like, wow, one of those women. I met her actually at Lorraine's 60th birthday or something.
Right.
Anyway, I was chatting away to her, and she was telling me about her podcast and stuff. And she was talking about the guy that she was with, whose wife had died of bowel cancer, and how she was chatting on about bowel cancer. I had no idea that she was stage 4 bowel cancer. I had no idea. I didn't really know. And then when I walked to her, I said, oh, that one. Oh, yeah, she's Bowel Babe. She's this. Because everybody knows her at ITV. Everybody knows her. And my friend Tits, Real Titty Gritty on Instagram, was very good friends with her. And she was, because she's a producer on Lorraine Tits, she was very much part of the Bowel Babe campaign on Lorraine and everything. So she was, yeah. So I've felt, of course, we all feel a collective sadness and grief for Bowel Babe. But I felt really sad the last few days for my friend Tits.
Yeah.
You know, like she texts and she's just fucking cancer, man. Because Tits obviously has had cancer. Our friend Hannah at the moment is dealing with stage 4 secondary breast cancer in her liver. My other very good friend that has just recently been diagnosed with breast cancer. Oh, and sometimes it's just, and I know with my friends in the cancer, who are living in the cancer world, my friends with cancer, Lizzie England, you also know on Instagram, dealing with secondary stage 4 breast cancer in her bones. These moments when these, I'm going to say it, stars of the cancer world. Bowel Babe was a star of the cancer world. She did incredible things. Despite how ill she was, despite she pushed on and pushed through. I mean, look, just till the last minute, she was raising millions. It's very hard for the others around when they lose somebody within the cancer community. It has a huge ripple effect. I'm seeing all those friends of mine today, actually, and I haven't seen them since, for a few weeks. And I know there will be tears and fears and... Yeah, so it's huge. It's huge because I think Bowel Babe is in all of our hearts. There she is, look at her. And for her family. But I'm also thinking of the wider cancer community and this really knocks. It really knocks. Because, of course, there's all the people that are very quietly struggling with this. And there are people. And sometimes these stars get some really negative stuff thrown at them, which I think is a fucking disgrace because people say, well, you know, my so-and-so's got cancer and mine, but you know, however a person chooses to deal with their disease is the right way for them. And
I also think sometimes
we know a lot more about bowel cancer now, thanks to Bowel
Yeah,
Babe.
yeah,
A
check
life
your
to be
food, check your food.
celebrated, she was.
But also, there is a lot of, you know, I think you just have to accept that some people, you know, I think there's often a feeling, I think, amongst people who think, well, why is all the attention on her and not on,
So
on
wrong.
my loved one? And I get
Yeah.
that, you can understand that, why, you know, but I think you just have to accept that you know,
Forget
that
it.
some shoot through and shine through, but they like Deborah James, you know, she's doing as much as she can for everyone else,
But
regardless.
make no bones about it, it's fucking hard work if
Yeah.
you're one of the stars of the cancer world, because when you're feeling absolutely dire and you push through and you do that interview
have
and you
thought.
do that, it's it's no easy thing that they're doing.
I wonder how much of the campaigning, though, and the fundraising will have actually prolonged her and given her that
I
zest.
suppose we'll
kind
never
of-
know. I
yeah,
suppose
no, you
different
can never
people need
quantify
different
that.
things, don't they? It's like, I always find it, I suppose because we're such sharers, when people are just very quiet and suddenly they, you know, like a famous person, and suddenly realise that they've had cancer all this time, that's been the right way for them to just very quietly nurture and nourish themselves away from everything else. But for others, it's going to be at the need to share, which we get that because we're sharers, aren't
Totally.
we?
I'm just sort of mopping up on some of the other news stories this week. Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously we covered that a lot, her trial and
Did you read that impact statement from
I haven't read it in full, no, but I mean, she's got 20 years for sex trafficking. There's lots of reports and stories about the conditions she's going to be in, and
where is she? What sort of prison is she in?
She's-
I've seen a few of those headlines, but I haven't actually
Yeah.
read any of the pieces yet.
I can't remember the name of it actually.
But did any of you read the witness impact statement from Virginia
Oh, Virginia
Giuffre?
Giuffre, yeah.
Wow. Have a look for it and read it. It was really something else.
But there are some people saying
Brilliant.
that why is there this contrast between Ghislaine Maxwell getting 20 years and R. Kelly getting 30? And I think some people are wanting to suggest that this is a race issue. Obviously, R. Kelly got 30 years for his awful kind of sex trafficking and racketeering. And when you start to, and I was thinking, oh, is this just an attempt to? It's quite easy to contrast the two, and obviously Ghislaine is white. And then you look at the list of what R. Kelly's done, and okay, you could argue that he was the Epstein in this, but is there really? Can you put a piece of paper between what she facilitated and potentially did
Well,
and what he did? I mean, you
Right, well, my opinion on this is,
What
if
do you
you
think,
had
guys?
Epstein and Ghislaine, I would have given Epstein more than Ghislaine.
Right. Okay. So Epstein would have got sort of like 30.
She was the procurer.
Procurer.
She was the. In fact, I'm surprised she didn't get a lot more because she's a woman. Because we are
Right.
very, very tough
That's a good
on
point.
women with sex crimes. They will nearly always get more than men.
Yeah.
And of course, what she did was absolutely horrific. And when you read Virginia Giuffre's impact statement, I mean, she talks about you were open to, yes, he did the majority of the stuff to us, but you opened the doors of hell and you beckoned us in, and then we were in, and you were there, and you encouraged, you were part of it. But she was part of it. He was the masterminder,
Right.
wasn't he?
Right.
And from what we've heard, they will never know exactly.
Sorry, Kelly
Charity-
Collinson is just saying that she's going to the same prison that Teresa Giudice from New Jersey.
Giudice.
Giudice went to, which is a very cushy prison.
Oh, it's a cushy prison.
Right, yeah.
I have to say, Teresa Giudice came out without a word to say about it, but I wonder if that was because she had children and she never wants them to know what it was actually like. Yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Yeah, well, and again, those are two judgments that have come in. I think for me, they seem appropriate. I personally don't think there's a race issue between the two, though I'm sure you could easily draw that conclusion. And another story I just wanted to draw was we're still waiting for Keir Starmer. So this is interesting. Keir Starmer, we're waiting to hear about whether Beergate or whatever it was, whether he's infringed anything. And it's interesting because Keir Starmer said in no uncertain terms he's going to resign if he's found guilty.
And
that.
Angela Rayner.
Yeah, but apparently, if that happens, by all accounts, the Tories will probably more than likely call a snap election.
Well, no.
Because
That's what they were saying that on the radio today,
Yeah.
weren't they? But they're saying that he won't. He
Well-
said now that he won't.
Yeah, but I think he's probably doing a double bluff. Because if you think about it, think of the total disarray the Labour Party would be in the short term without a leader. If they were to call a snap election, they would have to struggle
Come on,
and
surely there's
fumble
got
a
to be
leader into place.
some kind of cushioning for that, where you've got to have a leader in place.
I don't know if you can. I don't know. Maybe that. And
Or
I
you
think.
can have a snap election without a leader in the opposition.
Well, they would have to put someone in quickly. And what
we
I'm saying,
really are fucked in this
And
country.
what I'm saying is that in the swift kind of establishment of someone, their policy would be all up the creek. I mean, we don't really, if I'm brutally honest, we don't really know what the hell the Labour Party stand for. I think, personally, if he was, who thinks this would help? I think, not as a Ramona, but I think just to give some clarity to what they possibly represent. If I was them, I would say, you know, we want to get back into Europe, we want to do X, Y, and Z. They need to actually push hard against, you know, Tory policy and actually come up with some policies. I just feel like I personally want to, of course, would vote Labour, but I can't think what I'm voting for. I don't know what I'm voting for, other than against Boris.
But that at the moment is enough for me.
Yeah.
Because what I would be voting for is because this is what I believe, I could be wrong, I believe that Keir Starmer is a decent, honest, meticulous man. He has come up, he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's made what he's made for himself. He was a child carer, as was Angela Rayner. And I think the two of them could be a force to be reckoned with. Her fire and his methodical, people want to call him boring. Do we really need another grandstanding show-off?
No.
We don't. We need somebody with a bit of... But also, I don't think we should completely dismiss the Lib Dems.
No.
Having met all the leaders now at Loose Women, I was very impressed by him.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Right, well, Nads, you need to bugger off for a minute because I'm going to do the we're going to do the
yoga.
Friday quiz. She's going to set
setting
up
up
the
for
yoga because it's
Fuck off Friday.
That's not very zen.
it's very zen. Come on, it's fuck off Friday. What is it, guys? It's
Fuck off Friday.
now, in case you wonder, thanks again for that, guys, Christos, Natasha. Cheeseville. It's meant to be Cheeseville, and this is for those followers who love a little bit of a quiz at the end of the week to see them into the weekend. Fuck off Friday. Fuck off. Hashtag fuck off Friday. So we're going to do 7 questions. I've got 12 minutes to do them in before I hit that yoga mat and sweat like a puppy. Though I've never seen a puppy sweat, if I'm honest. So are you ready? Fuck off Friday. Okay, so question 1. I'm going to keep you up there so that I can do this almost all the time and really irritate you. So let's just do one more, Nadia.
Yeah.
And one more just for Nads.
Guys, join us both on the 1 million step challenge for Diabetes UK. You can just join up today. It starts today.
There you go. Okay, question 1. Serena Williams thrilled tennis fans with a comeback at Wimbledon a year after limping off centre court before narrowly losing to France's Harmony Tan. But how is Williams' sister Venus spending the tournament? A, commentating for BBC Sport. B, competing in the mixed doubles. Or C, watching on TV. Which of those is Serena Williams' sister Venus doing for Wimbledon this year? Wimbledon, I really want to get into what... The thing about Wimbledon for me is I loved it when they used to come running into the net and they would have real volleys, but now it's just about power and it just banging and pinging and panging, and I find that really boring. Lots of you saying just watching it on TV. Lucy Shadbolt says B, Sarah Fox says B, Linda Taylor says A, Faith Goodman says mixed, which is B, Joanna, Marie, Amy, all saying B. John Miller says eating pies. I think we, let's have a quick look here. Let's see, it is competing the mixed doubles B. Yes, absolutely. Let me just pull up question 2. Question 2 is, let's have a look. Animal remains measuring 14 centimetres preserved under ashen rock from Mount Vesuvius surprised scientists in the ancient city of Pompeii, Italy. But what had they found, guys? An Apple iPhone charger, perhaps? A, a jellyfish. B, don't mention jellyfish. B, a pregnant tortoise. Or C, the foot of a Sicilian dwarf elephant. What did they find under Mount Vesuvius? A jellyfish, a pregnant tortoise, or the foot of a Sicilian dwarf elephant? Oi. What do you think, guys? What are we getting? Nicola Higgins saying C, Fiona Reed, B, Lucy Shadbolt. Lots of you saying the foot of a Sicilian dwarf elephant. Joe Carden saying that, Becky Fithian saying that, Hilary Daly. I would have said that because it's such an odd thing. The last time I saw the foot of a Sicilian dwarf elephant was when I was out drinking with one. It was a really odd night out in Camden. It's a pregnant tortoise, it's B. Question 3. Bruce Springsteen and Dave Grohl joined headliner Paul McCartney for the highest profile guest appearances at Glastonbury Festival. But which Spice Girl had joined indie band Blossoms on stage? Was it A, posh, B, scary, or C, sporty? We were talking about this person only this week. So come on, Bruce Springsteen and Dave Grohl joined Paul McCartney, but which Spice Girl joined indie band Blossoms on stage at Glaston's this weekend? Posh, A, scary, B, sporty, C. All of you saying sporty Spice, which means you were all sat at your television watching Glaston's, including Ashley, who right now is trying to battle his way through all the mess. Did you see the waist after Glastonbury? C, it's sporty. You were all right, you've all got that. Question 4. Amid a shortage of power in Tokyo, the Japanese government urged citizens in the capital to preserve supplies by turning off which appliances? A, air conditioners, B, dishwashers, or C, lights? They recommended turning off which of those to preserve supplies? Air conditioners, A, dishwashers, B, or lights, C? Lots of you saying air conditioners. Lindsay McCafferty, A. Hilary Daly, A. Good Chip Lollipop, A. All of you saying A. Apart from Laura Williams, who's just said C, lights. It's C, unnecessary lights, as it's expected demand for power to be severe. For weeks, officials have been warning of a power crunch prompted by rising temperatures. The answer is C. Question 5. Should we just have a moment? Should we just have before question 5? Tell us how many you've got out of 5, guys, before we push on to the last 3 questions even. Yeah, fuck off Friday. 3, 2 out of 5 raspberry, Nicola 2, Good Trip Lollipop 4. 2 out of 5 Fiona, Linda, Margaret O'Brien 3, Liz Skinner 4. Okay, question 5. At the Commonwealth Summit in Rwanda, 2 former French colonies joined the organisation that had emerged from the British Empire. But which of the following nations did not join the Commonwealth? A, Gabon, B, Guinea, or C, Togo? Which of those 3 did not join the Commonwealth? A, Gabon, B, Guinea. Lee, good man. We were just singing your praises at the beginning. You were brilliant. You were absolutely brilliant. Or C, Togo. Everyone send a round of applause to Lee. Your head is perfect in a rectangular broadcast screen, Mr. Peart. The answer is B, Guinea. Faith Goodman, you're right. You're right. You're right. Question, got 6 minutes before I've got to get my spandex on and my headband and my wristbands and Jane Fonda style. Question 6. Research suggested fossilised remains, including the skull of cave woman Mrs. Ples. I like the look of Mrs. Ples. She's got not too heavy a brow. Research suggests that fossilised remains, including the skull of cave woman Mrs. Ples, were 1 million years older than previously thought. She looked good. She's looking good on it. But what name has been given to the South African caves where they were found? A, the cradle of civilization. That's what I call Nadia's dress walk-in wardrobe. The cradle of civilization. B, the cradle of humankind. That's Nadia's kitchen. And C, the cradle of life. That's Nadia's knickers.
Shut the hell up!
A, the cradle of civilization, B, the cradle of humankind, or C, the cradle of life? Which of those is where Mrs. Ples, who is now actually 1,000,000 years older than she looks, to be honest with you, that's where they found her skull. Lots of you saying A, Liz Williams saying C, Linda Tyler says C, a lot of you saying the cradle of life. Lots of you saying C, cradle of life, and a lot of you saying the cradle of civilization, when in fact most of you are missing the point. It's B, the cradle of humankind. Final question. Final question deserves, surely, it deserves this, doesn't it? Oh, this.
Fuck off Friday.
There you go, 4 minutes to go. Last question, here we go. When Coldplay singer Chris Martin met a couple of fans in a pub, he gave them a personal rendition of the song they planned to use for their first dance at their wedding. But which was it? Which of these songs did Chris Martin play in the pub? A, A Sky Full of Stars, B, My Universe, or C, Us Against the World? When Coldplay singer Chris Martin met a couple of fans in a pub, he gave them a personal rendition of the song they planned to use for their first dance at their wedding, but which was it? Imagine that. Imagine that. You're all saying C, Us Against the World, when in fact, oh no, Lucy Shadbolt, Linda Tyler, Elaine Flew, Joe Pardon, Steph Schultz are all saying A, and you are right, it's A. And on that note, guys and girls, we have come to a halt, and it's so nice to be back, and it's been lovely being with you, and I'm now going to go and get back to my spiritual centre, which I need, and just to say goodbye and see you into the weekend. Obviously, we will be here tomorrow morning with the Saturday newspapers, and it's a live No Name Sunday show. Amy May got 7 out of 7. Bloody hell, well done, Amy. Say well done, Amy, Nads.
Well done, Amy.
Well done, Amy. So, on that note... Just say fuck off Friday if you find Friday really intimidating in its funness. Okay, love you lots. See you later. Lots dropping in the